plays the guitar, Marcy's keyboards. They've been making music together since they're at school. And then me and Stu met when we worked at HMV in Chester. A mutual friend who's a DJ introduced us in the middle of the night in Jamie's caravan one night, and it sort of went from there, isn't it?
Yeah. We've sort of we've been that was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, wasn't it? And then we spent a lot of time just getting to know each other, because, as I say, we weren't necessarily friends, if you know what I mean. We sort of became friends through writing the tunes together. We did that for many years, and then sort of decided we should probably play them in public somewhere. So we sort of started playing live a few years ago, didn't we?
Yeah,
really,
and
with
then picked Matty and Chris up on the way. Matty's my brother-in-law and Chris is my husband, so the Goddards are planning a takeover of the entire band. We just need to adopt these three.
Because we've been together, been writing stuff, it was more a case of choosing tracks rather than writing songs to go into the recording studio. In terms of what we did, we looked at the back of the CDs that we owned, found some bands that we liked, found the producer that was like common to them, picked up the phone and rang Jim, or rang his manager actually. Then he phoned us back and said he'd be interested in working with us. He'd listened to some of our stuff on MySpace. So things moved on from there. He asked us to come up with about 15 tracks that we considered recording.
Which we nearly split up over.
That's it, exactly. That was the most difficult thing we've ever done. And he came along to a practice, listened to us play the songs, and pretty much decided, that would be good. Then when we went in the studio, he had quite a creative role. We'd obviously been playing the songs in a certain way and had written them in a certain way. But things like track duration and the way they were structured and actually going somewhere was something that Jim helped us massively with, wasn't it?
Off the 10-minute intros.
Yeah. So we our songs are quite long, but he sort of very diplomatically and sort of creatively helped us to shorten them, and 15 songs became 12. That was so we shelved them rather than sort of ditch them. But we'll hopefully go back to those. And recording itself, tell me when to stop. Recording itself was originally penciled in. We had a budget and a time frame in mind, but then we realised, or Jim realised, he wanted to go the whole hog in terms of making us sound as good as possible, which took time in terms of playing more tracks, getting some strings on the album. So a couple of weeks turned into a few months, didn't it?
Yeah. He got Joe Didal involved. He's done string arrangements for James and Elbow, and sort of pulled a few strings, literally, to get him in. And we had the Royal Northern College of Music students who came in and played string arrangements on 3 of the songs, and then we had brass arrangements on the couple. So
yeah, I think what was sort of the common theme in the whole making of the album really was just a lot of goodwill from the person who decided to fund it in the first place, through to Jim, going over and above. He did a lot of unpaid work. The guy who owned the studio gave us some more time, and as I say, then it was a friend of a friend asking Joe to get involved. So in an ideal world, we'd be touring with string players and Joe, but he's sort of gone over and above. It'd be nice to be able to go back to him and say, we've moved on. We've got proper money to be able to pay you properly for your time. But that would be fantastic.
It's penciled in for our first Glastonbury.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
As soon as we're penciled in.
Yeah.
But now, as I say, the strings and the brass being played over our music when they were recording it in the evenings, that was just amazing, wasn't it?
Unreal, yeah. It was brilliant.
And I'm not saying that our music was amazing. It was just like the sort of the whole atmosphere there, and just witnessing it was good. That, I think, again, we'll sort of all chip in, but that's sort of what makes what's made it really enjoyable for me in terms of is influences that Marcy and Jamie had. Jamie's a big Pink Floyd fan, and Miles Davis. Marcy's into electronica and Tangerine Dream and
Brian
Kraftwerk and Brian Eno and all that sort of stuff. So I'd say they're their influences. I'm personally more probably indie era and that sort of thing, something a bit more like the Blue Tones and Charlatans and Stone Roses and all that sort of stuff. Like yourself?
Pretty much the same, really. Bit of an indie girl at heart. So
yeah.
Well, I have to say I was into Salt and Pepper.
Yeah.
Quite heavily.
Wasn't everyone?
I think they influenced my lyric writing. So
and as we were saying on the way down, I've got a Vanilla Ice album that it's going to be worth something one day.
Yeah.
But and then Matty and Chris, they were in bands. I think they were more grungy, weren't they? I suppose.
Pearl Jam, stuff like
Nirvana and so there's a bit all sorts of broad stuff really, and But most important thing is not to set about trying to sound like anybody. I know it's a cliche, but we sort of hopefully sound like us, and if people pick up influences, that's great, you know.
In your time,